Lisa Bonet and Jason Momoa are officially divorced. The couple had already been separated for years, but today the marriage of more than 7 years officially came to an end.
Lisa Bonet has always been an enigma in Hollywood, a star who never quite fit the conventional mold of fame. But since parting ways with Jason Momoa, the changes she's embraced feel deeper and more intentional than anyone expected. Could her quiet withdrawal from the spotlight actually be a form of power rather than retreat? While most celebrities chase relevance through reinvention and headlines, Lisa's transformation is defined by stillness and authenticity. Instead of reclaiming the stage, she's building a life on her own terms. What can we learn from this rare kind of evolution? The unseen shift after separation. Lisa Bonet's transformation following her separation from Jason Momoa did not announce itself with flashy headlines or dramatic gestures. Instead, it surfaced as a subtle, almost imperceptible change that friends noticed first. Those closest to her observed a woman who seemed lighter and more grounded, carrying herself with a calm, deliberate energy that felt different yet familiar. Insiders soon caught on, sensing this was not the typical rebound story or public unraveling, but the beginning of something far more profound. For Lisa, this was not about chaos or upheaval, but about shedding an old skin, a life that no longer resonated with who she had become. This shift unsettled people precisely because it defied expectation. Hollywood is a place hungry for reinvention tours and sensational comebacks, but Lisa offered none of that. Instead, her retreat was quiet, a pulling back to something she had been cultivating over the years, away from the spotlight. The public began to see glimpses of this change through sparse appearances and a steadily shrinking footprint in the industry. Acting roles grew scarce, and social media remained a space she avoided altogether. The narrative that Lisa had disappeared was a convenient shorthand, but the reality was a conscious realignment. Though she was stepping away from public eyes, her inner life was anything but dormant. This decision carried an unmistakable message. Lisa was prioritizing authenticity over visibility, choosing personal truth rather than public approval. That choice challenges a culture accustomed to equating presence with success. What sparked whispers of curiosity and confusion was this rare form of transformation, one not measured by an eagerly consumed spectacle, but by intention and depth. Court records later confirmed the emotional separation had long preceded any public announcement. This timeline revealed something essential about Lisa's process. It was neither impulsive nor reactive. She had already been living the aftermath privately, steadily reshaping her days around stillness and routine. In a world spinning on constant reinvention, Lisa's slower pace itself was revolutionary. The separation created public expectations that people would witness either a dramatic reinvention tour or an unexpected transformation of her appearance. Lisa followed her established pattern of life, which she had used to transit through her life when she moved about her activities in silent control of her schedule. The people who expected her transformation to bring celebratory events were surprised by its peacefulness, which provided a deep connection for those who knew about the professional life public figures. People started to speculate about her appearance because her appearance became noticeable. Lisa appeared at a time when many actresses chose to undergo procedures to maintain their youth. This effortless presence challenged standard notions of beauty and aging in Hollywood. She maintained her natural appearance through regular facial treatment, which used simple methods. Her friends described her daily routine as being governed by important personal activities, which included yoga practice, outdoor activities, family time, and writing. These were not trendy shifts, but a continuation of her lifelong embrace of practice over performance. Lisa developed her future identity through the stable personality that she established after her separation. What unsettles many about Lisa's transformation is not mystery, but its clarity. She chose to leave her position because of her personal decision, not because of any problems or shortcomings. The quiet withdrawal created unexpected outcomes because the act required a complex understanding that could not be reduced to simple explanations. The complete impact of this transition requires us to investigate the fundamental elements that define Lisa's intricate personal identity and her ongoing quest for liberation. The story of who she is, and why this transformation matters begins long before the separation itself. Roots of a complex identity. Lisa Bonet's identity was shaped early by a sense of not quite fitting in, a feeling that followed her from childhood into her adult life and career. Born in San Francisco and raised in Los Angeles, she grew up in an affluent, predominantly white neighborhood where she often felt like an outsider. This sense of displacement was a constant undercurrent, deepened by her experience as an only child after her parents' divorce. Loneliness became a defining influence on who she was. Rather than finding comfort in stability, Lisa's early years cultivated a restless spirit. She never felt anchored to one particular world, and that ambiguity defined much of her journey. Acting came almost by happenstance when a friend invited her to an acting class. It was in that space that Lisa first experienced a sense of belonging, where being different was not a weakness, but rather a strength. Her early break came with a guest role on the television series Saint Elsewhere while she was still in school. But the real turning point was landing the role of Denise Huxtable on The Cosby Show at only 16 years old. Overnight, Lisa became part of one of the most influential and beloved portrayals of Black family life on television. This role catapulted her into the public eye in a way that was both exciting and confining. Despite the show's enormous success and its cultural impact, Lisa never fully embraced the fame it brought. Behind the scenes, producers sensed something unique about her. Marcy Carsey, one of the show's producers, later reflected that Lisa would always remain true to herself, regardless of fame or platform size. She was never going to be anybody other than who she authentically was. The need to resist confinement through set boundaries created a consistent pattern that showed itself throughout Lisa's entire professional life. Lisa pursued creative methods to escape established character patterns, which most young actors selected based on their need for secure, permanent television roles. The public image of Denise Huxtable showed her clearly as an authentic self, but she could no longer maintain this character when she reached adulthood. The audience loved Denise because she represented a pure character who followed predictable behavior. But Lisa chose roles that opposed this character representation according to her internal conflicts. She watched actors who achieved television success because she recognized how this success would create a permanent identity trap. She recognized this fundamental concept, which would later evolve into her career-defining actions. The path she followed led to her professional development and her personal transformation. Lisa showed determination to achieve her goals while experiencing public scrutiny, which made her feel different from other people. She realized that Hollywood expectations would limit her freedom, but she maintained her right to make independent decisions. Her next chapter began through her struggle with two competing identities, which showed between her professional obligations and her developing personal identity. The reason for her transformation since breaking up with Jason Momoa goes beyond the relationship ending because she needs to find her personal freedom and build her own identity. The roots of Lisa's complexity make the story of her transformation all the more compelling when we consider the choices she made early on to break Hollywood's mold. Breaking Hollywood's mold early. Lisa Bonet's refusal to fit neatly into Hollywood's expectations became clear with one of her earliest and most controversial career decisions. At just 18, she accepted a leading role in the film Angel Heart, a stark departure from the wholesome TV character she was famous for. The film was dark, psychological, and openly sexual, placing Lisa firmly outside the safe boundaries set by her television fame. The reaction was swift and harsh. Critics and the public focused less on the film's narrative and more on Lisa's body. The film's rating was even adjusted post-release to reflect its explicit content. This backlash was a clear sign of the rigid expectations Hollywood and audiences had for Lisa. Yet Lisa never framed this choice as rebellion or provocation. In interviews, she explained that television actors were rarely taken seriously in the world of film, and that she needed to pursue roles that fostered her growth as an artist. This was a conscious decision to prioritize her craft over maintaining a public image. Her stance was striking for its clarity and conviction, even if it shocked an industry used to compliance, especially from young women. Lisa made it clear that her responsibility was not to a fictional character but to herself. Her freedom and her artistic integrity were paramount. This defiance set her apart early in her career and shaped the trajectory that followed. Shortly after Angel Heart, Lisa was positioned to lead a spin-off built around her character from The Cosby Show. Initially successful, the project soon encountered unforeseen challenges. When Lisa became pregnant, producers debated whether to incorporate her pregnancy into the storyline. Ultimately, the decision was made not to allow the character to evolve with the actress, reflecting Hollywood's reluctance to accept female autonomy on its terms. This conflict exposed a deeper mismatch between Lisa's personal life and the industry's rigid narratives. Feeling constrained and unsupported, she stepped away from the series she helped inspire. Public stories cast the departure as problematic, but those close to the production understood the young actress was overwhelmed by scrutiny and unwilling to compromise her values. By her early 20s, Lisa Bonet had become a figure seen as unpredictable by Hollywood executives, but one who viewed the industry itself as conditional and limiting. Once this line was crossed, her path was clear. She would no longer conform to a structure that denied her complexity and growth. This early break from expectations frames her later choices and the transformation we witness after her separation. Her story is not one of loss, but a continuation of a lifelong refusal to be anything less than herself. Lisa's early career alone foreshadows the deeper, quieter revolution that her life has become. As the echoes of Lisa's youthful defiance faded into the background of Hollywood's fast-moving machine, a new chapter unfolded, one centered on motherhood, autonomy, and the pursuit of a life beyond the public glare. Embracing motherhood and autonomy. Motherhood marked a profound turning point in Lisa Bonet's life, reshaping her priorities in ways Hollywood neither expected nor accommodated. When her daughter Zoe was born, Lisa's pace slowed, not because of confusion or failure, but by deliberate choice. She stepped away from the relentless demands of the entertainment industry to focus on the full reorientation that motherhood required. This shift was not a subplot or a side note. It became a defining element of her identity and daily life. During this period, Lisa spoke openly about prioritizing her child and exploring who she was beyond the glare of fame. Her public appearances dwindled, and roles became sparse. Rather than chasing relevance or accolades, she sought stability, privacy, and a deeper connection to herself and her family. This decision was radical in a culture that often views motherhood as something to fit around a career, rather than something that transforms the very essence of one's existence. Her marriage to musician Lenny Kravitz, which began with public intensity and admiration, also unfolded under continuous media scrutiny. When their relationship ended, the separation was heavy with emotional weight. Kravitz later described this time as filled with pain and exhaustion, highlighting the toll that relentless attention can exact on private lives. For Lisa, the breakup was another layer in her evolving understanding of what mattered most. To protect and nurture her family life, Lisa moved with Zoe to Topanga Canyon, a deliberate retreat from Hollywood's machinery. The location, nestled in nature, offered a sanctuary filled with animals, open spaces, and distance from cameras. This environment reflected her desire to cultivate a life grounded in simplicity and authenticity rather than spectacle, a private world where her daughter could grow outside of the industry's spotlight. The peaceful withdrawal process led Lisa to make her name change decision, which she executed by becoming Lilikoi Moon. The act was not a publicity stunt, but served as her way to distance herself from the Hollywood image she needed to show to the public. Her new name honored her authentic self rather than the industry-created image that people could not understand or control. The name change showed her internal transformation, which enabled her to define her identity according to her own standards. Many people believed that this period marked her professional disappearance, yet Lisa used this time to assess her current status. She regarded yoga, introspection, and alternative life paths as essential components of her existence because she needed them to maintain her health. She accepted acting as a profession, but she rejected the notion that she needed to be visible at all times to establish her value. She would no longer follow Hollywood requirements, which demanded that she maintain continuous visibility and importance. Co-parenting requirements created additional complications, which affected this time period. Lisa backed Zoe's choice to spend time with her father, even though it brought her emotional distress. The pattern of her life showed that she would regularly select the correct path for herself, while she avoided using conventional methods to achieve safety. The industry began to replace Lisa with new performers and new narratives as soon as she exited. She did not pursue public attention, nor did she attempt to regain her former celebrity status. When she returned to acting, she did so for herself, while bringing back the profound understanding that only her time away from the field could give her. She used her quiet return to express herself authentically instead of needing approval from the public. Motherhood transformed Lisa into a person who now lives with greater focus and greater intention while protecting her mental peace. This shift prepared her for the next significant chapter, where love and partnership would again test and reflect her evolving boundaries. The private love with Jason Momoa. Lisa Bonet met Jason Momoa long before he became a global star or a headline fixture in Hollywood. Their meeting at a jazz club in Los Angeles felt almost incidental, void of the fanfare that often accompanies celebrity pairings. Jason was younger at the time, still relatively unknown and openly nervous around her. Lisa, by contrast, had already navigated fame, backlash, and retreat, bringing a steadiness born of experience. Their connection blossomed quietly, away from the relentless glare of media scrutiny that had marked many of Lisa's previous relationships. This privacy allowed their bond to grow based on authenticity rather than performance. Jason's openness and emotional presence complemented Lisa's grounded nature. He admitted later that while he had admired her since childhood, what kept them close as adults was not nostalgia but a sense of safety. For Lisa, who had spent years cultivating a life grounded in home, routine, and emotional honesty, this relationship expanded naturally to include him. They formed a blended family that many outsiders saw as rare and enviable. Lisa and Lenny Kravitz remained close, co-parenting Zoe with mutual respect, while Jason integrated smoothly into that dynamic with love and understanding. Their children were raised with a continuity that resisted division. Lisa spoke about the relationship as one rooted in support and protection, which she had not experienced before. For someone intensely protective of her independence, the sense of safety was profound. It created a space where she could be fully herself, without the pressure to perform or explain. The marriage that followed was understated, intentionally private, avoiding fairy tales or permanence in favor of growth, partnership, and shared values. From an outsider's view, the union seemed to balance love and autonomy, a rare alignment that many believed had finally anchored Lisa. Yet, beneath this calm surface, slow shifts began to take hold. Jason's career gained momentum, requiring long shoots, extended travel, and constant reinvention. The life he led increasingly revolved around movement and public attention. The difference between their rhythms grew apparent. While Jason chased momentum and change, Lisa sought to protect the stability she had carefully cultivated over decades. Their diverging paths were not marked by conflict, but by a fundamental difference in what each needed to thrive. For Lisa, the quietness she had worked so hard for was non-negotiable. As these differences crystallized, their separation unfolded quietly and privately over months before a public announcement. There were no accusations or public drama, just an honest acknowledgement that the life they once shared no longer fit either of them. This ending was not about failure, but about accepting change and redefining what love means in a life that continues to evolve. Lisa's journey after their separation reveals a transformation that came not from upheaval, but from a long-standing commitment to living in alignment with her true self. A path shaped by love, loss, and self-discovery all at once. This quiet evolution after separation leads to a deeper understanding of the power found in withdrawal and intentional absence from the public stage. Diverging paths and quiet separation. As Jason Momoa's career surged forward, the rhythm of his life began to diverge sharply from Lisa Bonet's quiet, grounded existence. His schedule demanded months away from home, filled with long shoots, travel, and the constant reinvention required of a rising global star. Meanwhile, Lisa had spent years cultivating stillness and stability, a sanctuary from Hollywood's relentless pace. This growing mismatch was not fueled by conflict or drama, but by fundamentally different needs and values. Lisa did not want to chase momentum or maintain the hectic pace of show business. She had built a life emphasizing emotional honesty, routine, and connection to what mattered most. On the other hand, Jason's career was accelerating, pulling him into the public eye with increasing frequency and intensity. The clash was less about opposing desires and more about a natural divergence in where each found purpose and peace. Despite their deep affection and shared history, these differences slowly became impossible to reconcile. The relationship shifted from partnership to parallel lives, moving in contrasting directions. It was a quiet unraveling, one that friends say was marked by mutual respect rather than resentment. Their split was not a sudden fracture, but the gentle fading of a union that had once felt like home. Months before making any public statement, the couple had already navigated the emotional separation privately. This distancing allowed Lisa to begin reshaping her days away from the relationship without the pressure of performing for the media or public opinion. Court documents later confirmed this gap between private reality and public announcement, highlighting the conscious intention behind their decision. The media outlets began reporting the separation as an unexpected and shocking event, because they expected to receive news that never materialized. The public did not witness any dramatic event, because they silently recognized that their shared existence had reached its conclusion. The ordinary process of celebrity breakups, which people expect to see, was disrupted by Lisa's mature and controlled behavior, which demonstrated her lifelong commitment to living according to her personal values. Lisa chose to show her real self through release instead of fighting against people who disagreed with her. Friends who witnessed this time described her as more deliberate and lighter, no longer burdened by the need to explain or justify her choices. The focus changed from dealing with loss to experiencing release, which allowed people to discover new possibilities that emerged after existing systems broke down. The family separation maintained their shared family relationship while directing their focus to a new area. Lisa maintained her commitment to her children, extended family members, and close friends, while she used these important relationships to build her low-key lifestyle. Her genuine connections became stronger because she showed her love through everyday actions instead of grand public displays of affection. Lisa stopped attending public events and declined all project offers. She stopped receiving new acting roles because she showed no interest in returning to acting work. Financial security allowed her to choose emotional health as her primary focus, which she considered more important than being seen in public, a privilege that most Hollywood professionals do not have. Lisa reached a point of no return, which ended her public existence because she had reached a state of mental and spiritual development that lasted for several years. Jason's relationships with others started as an outward conflict, but eventually turned into a process of personal change, which involved him intentionally reducing his social interactions. Sometimes, stepping away reveals a new kind of power, one that reshapes not only how we live, but how we are seen. The power of withdrawal. Lisa Bonet's retreat from the public eye after her separation was not a sign of defeat or invisibility, but a deliberate reclamation of self. In a culture obsessed with constant reinvention and visibility, her absence became a radical statement. Instead of chasing relevance or responding to public demand, Lisa embraced stillness as a form of power and authenticity rarely witnessed in Hollywood. Her last credited acting roles date back several years, and since then, she has shunned social media, public commentary, and the pressure to curate a persona. Friends describe a life shaped by routine rather than reaction, a quiet daily practice of yoga, movement, writing, and spending time in nature. These are not new habits, but the continuation of values cultivated over decades. Years before the separation became public, Lisa had already been living this slowed, deliberate life. Court documents showed the emotional work had preceded any announcement. This intentional gap between private reality and public narrative signals profound maturity and self-possession. She stepped back not from failure, but from obligation, choosing presence over performance. Lisa's approach to beauty and self-care reflects this ethos. She maintains a simple routine focused on natural skincare, minimal makeup, and consistency rather than correction or drastic change. Using gentle treatments like coconut oil, she honors her body as it is, rejecting the language of anti-aging or transformation that dominates Hollywood. Her presence is not about defying time, but living in harmony with it. This philosophy extends beyond appearance. When her daughter Zoe faced speculation about cosmetic work, Lisa responded with honesty and grace, emphasizing that the body is not a public project. This message, quietly passed between generations, challenges the industry's demand for visibility as a condition of worth. It's a stance that unsettles those invested in packaged narratives but resonates deeply with anyone seeking freedom from spectacle. Withdrawal, in Lisa's case, is a form of completion rather than disappearance. Having achieved early fame and influence, she has moved beyond the need for external validation. The harder work she embraces now is living aligned with her truth, without applause or explanation. This is a rare kind of success, one measured in peace rather than popularity. Her refusal to perform healing on a public stage disrupts expectations about growth, especially for women aging in the spotlight. By not offering a reinvention narrative, Lisa challenges the idea that change must be loud to be real. She simply became more herself, less willing to explain or defend the woman she has chosen to be. This transformation unsettles Hollywood because it offers no easy story to consume. There is no dramatic before and after, no cosmetic makeover or public declaration. Instead, Lisa presents a mirror, reflecting the possibility of authenticity without performance, of strength through quiet presence. Her journey asks us to reconsider what it means to be visible in a culture that equates visibility with value. Sometimes, the most powerful statement comes from stepping away and refusing to be anything other than oneself. From withdrawal emerges a redefinition not only of self, but of what beauty and influence can look like beyond the glare of the spotlight. Redefining beauty and influence. Lisa Bonet's transformation extends beyond her personal life to a profound redefinition of beauty and influence in Hollywood. In an industry obsessed with youth and reinvention, she has rejected the conventional anti-aging narrative altogether. Instead of viewing her appearance as a project to be corrected or perfected, Lisa embraces maintenance, care, and natural connection with her body. This shift challenges the relentless pressure placed on women to perform a visibly youthful ideal on command. Her approach to beauty is grounded in simplicity and respect for the body's natural state. Publicly, she has spoken about using minimal makeup, relying on natural skincare such as coconut oil, and avoiding excessive products. This routine is not about trends or rebellion, but about honoring her body's integrity and history. It's a refusal to engage with correction, and instead, a celebration of care, subtly pushing back against Hollywood's demanding standards. This philosophy is mirrored in her family's approach as well. When her daughter Zoe faced invasive speculation regarding cosmetic treatments, Lisa's response was immediate and honest, emphasizing that the body is not a public project. This response was neither defensive nor polished, but deeply human and consistent with the values Lisa has lived by. The message across generations is clear: personal autonomy over one's body and the refusal to make it a spectacle. Lisa's rejection of public performance extends to her broader influence too. Rather than chasing headlines or defining herself by roles or trends, she prioritizes authenticity over visibility. This attitude unsettles an industry and audience that equate influence solely with exposure and constant reinvention. Her quiet presence offers an alternative model of power that embraces longevity and integrity. The cultural environment, which demands sudden changes together with marketable storytelling, creates obstacles for Lisa, who develops at her own pace. The transformation process does not produce any dramatic changes because it lacks a traditional redemption path, plus a complete transformation. She lives her life through gradual personal development, which takes priority over public recognition. Hollywood presents narratives that show how women handle aging in public spaces. Many actresses must explain their absences, together with their cosmetic choices and personal life changes. Lisa chooses to avoid these discussions because she prefers to continue her life without providing any details. Her inner peace creates an unexpected response, which makes people think about how society defines female identity when women reach maturity and lose their ability to be seen. Lisa establishes her complete understanding of beauty and self-care through her regular practice of African dance and yoga and her active engagement with different forms of movement. The disciplines enable her to experience cultural ties that connect her historical background with her physical body. They connect her to a lineage that extends from her physical existence to her spiritual existence. The transformation process she underwent continues to create an impact because it guides people who seek alternative methods to deal with their life challenges, together with their public image. The content creates discomfort for some people, yet it functions as an effective tool that helps others understand how modern celebrity culture requires them to maintain their public roles at all times. The transformation of Lisa Bonet shows her journey towards becoming an authentic woman who embraces her true self through her physical appearance. Lisa Bonet's story reminds us that transformation is not always loud or dramatic. It can be quiet, intentional, and deeply authentic. She shows us the power of living on one's own terms, beyond Hollywood's gaze. If this perspective resonated with you, take a moment to like and subscribe for more stories that go deeper than the headlines. And don't miss the next video appearing on your screen for another unexpected journey.